Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Kokiri Chronicles Zelda podcast, where I do this every third day of the month. Honestly, if you guys have not checked out the recent episodes, y'all should definitely go check them out. I definitely love talking about Zelda every third day of the month. They're absolutely really fun. I really do enjoy them. But guys, if you guys are not watching this on, if y'all are watching this on YouTube, be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that good jazz. It really helps me out. Definitely go check out the other episodes of the podcast if you have not checked them out. So anyway, let me check something real quick. Okay, we're good. So last month, we talked for episode 8. We talked about Princess Zelda's role in Echoes of Wisdom. In honor of the game coming out. Since I know I talked about things of what we were going to expect and everything else, we kind of went to some detailed discussions and all that good jazz. But it was a pretty good discussion. So also for those of you guys who are watching the stream, I hope you guys have been enjoying Echoes of Wisdom. I myself have recently beat it. I beat the game yesterday by the time of this recording. And I can say it's a really good game. It is now my favorite 2D Zelda game. I absolutely love it. Honestly, Echoes of Wisdom is such a really fun game, and it's really good. But today, so in honor of Spooktober month, for the month of October, I am going to be talking about the Happy Mask Salesman from Majora's Mask, and with me, I have my good friend and mod, Sora 850. How's it going, Sora?
Everyone, how are y'all doing?
Sora,
I'm pretty good myself.
Sora, it's so good to see you again.
Good to be here.
Yes, and also looking at the Twitch chat. Goofy, thank you so much for promoting the podcast, the YouTube channel, and giving Sora a shout out. Guys, if you're not following Sora, y'all definitely need to go take care of that. Oh, apparently I need to turn you up. According to Goof.
I was just about to point that out.
Okay, how's that? How's that? Is that better? Can you guys hear him?
Testing 1, 2, 3, 4.
How's
speaking.
that? How's that? Can y'all hear? Can y'all hear Sora? Is that better? Let me know if you guys can hear Sora. Definitely, let me know. Really? A little more? A little? Dang, is Sora that quiet?
Apparently I am.
Okay, how about now? Is that better? How about
Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm talking, I'm speaking, I'm saying words in sentences. Possibly paragraphs.
How's that? Now, okay, Goofy says that's good.
Awesome.
But Sora, yes, but yes, I'm glad you're back again.
Good to be back. Also, I was gonna say, thank you for the shout out, Goofy. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you, Goof. Thank you for doing that. Anyway, Sora, so you know for today's episode, you know why we're here today, right? For Spooktober month.
Oh yeah, we're here to talk about one of the biggest freaks ever.
Yes, we're here to talk about the Happy Mask Salesman. Before we start dumpster diving, talking about him, so I'm gonna let you go first on this one, but I gotta know. So, when you first played Majora's Mask for the first time, what was your first impression of the Happy Mask Salesman from the start to when you finished the game?
So my impression of him as a whole was as followed. You're rude for stalking me, even though you say, hey, don't find you rude. You creep me out, and why are you here?
Honestly, that kind of sums it up right.
Yep, and my final thoughts for when he left was, good, I don't have to see this loser anymore. So, say all's well that ends well there.
That's pretty good. So, my first impression on the Happy Mask Salesman, when I first played the game, I thought he was really creepy, especially with that creepy smile that he does. And then I also kind of felt a little bit terrified as a kid for, like, during the moments when he got angry. And I was like, oh God, those eyes terrified me as a kid.
that angry look he gives you, oh my lord, that is literal nightmare fuel.
Yeah, that was literally nightmare fuel to me.
Game.
That was literally nightmare fuel to me.
This is an E-rated game, mind you.
It really is. It really is. Huh, looking at Twitch chat, Goofy says savage. I mean,
for everyone, my high. Come on, Nintendo, you knew what you were doing.
exactly. But, you know, honestly, Sora, you know, like, how creepy and how mysterious this guy is. But honestly, but when you do think about it, he seems to know, like, in terms of his IQ, he seems to know a lot more than meets the eye.
Yes.
So, anyway, as we're going to get started, we're going to go in and take it back from the beginning. We're going to go in and talk about the first time we got to see this man. Which, obviously, also let me know in the Twitch chat, how's the music? Is it loud? Is it quiet? Can you hear us both from the music? Definitely let me know from that, too. Also, looking at Twitch chat, we have Prince Leo. Leo, welcome in. Leo, I am so sorry I could not make it to your morning stream today. I actually was at work. But, guys, please go follow Prince Leo. He finally came back from a long hiatus. He's finally back on Twitch doing his variety content. Music seems a tad quiet. Is it really quiet? Man, it's really quiet for you today, Goof. Are you sure you not have any headphone settings down? Oh my god, Goof, it's been really quiet for you.
Then again, though, you seem to have the same issue with the music on every podcast episode, so...
This is true. Okay, how about that? I'm not wearing headphones? Okay, well, how's that? Is that better? Is that better? How's the music now? Is that good? I think Goof will definitely will let me know. He said it's good. Okay. Anyway, so let's go. So let's go in and get started, and let's go in and take it back all the way from the beginning. So, obviously, you know, for anybody who's a long-time Zelda fan like me and Sora here, you guys definitely know that the first time that we got to experience, got to interact with the Happy Mask Salesman was in Ocarina of Time. Now, when the Hero of Time enters the Hyrule Castle Market, they have a little shop open. There's like a customer in there, and he tells Link like, "Hey, you know, I see a shop here, but there's like, you know, there's nobody here, so we don't know where the owner is." And it's not only till then that we realize that the store finally opens until Link actually shows the guard at Kokiri Village that leads to Dev Mountain the letter given to him by Princess Zelda. And then he tells Link about the optional side quest he can do, which is like, hey, you know, there's a, hey, I just heard there's a Happy Mask Salesman shop. There's a Happy Mask shop in town. You know, everybody's talking about it. You know, I want to get this precious mask for my son, but I don't have any time because I'm a guard. And then when you take on this quest, you just see him there, and he's just like doing this face at his desk, like, hi, it's good to see you. And honestly, it's a really interesting side quest, though. You know, like to where like he lets you play as a mask salesman, to where he sends you on this optional quest to like, you know, go like sell his mask to people in Hyrule. You know, just to kind of like promote his store. And you're over here like selling all his stuff like to customers, like, you know, such as oh my god, I mean, you're selling this like for example, like the first mask you sell. I'm trying to, god, dude, my brain is farting. Oh yeah, that's right. You sell the Kenan mask, you know, to the guard in Kakariko Village, so that way he can make an impression on his son. You give the spooky mask to the kid running around the Kakariko graveyard who's pretending to be Dampé because he thinks he can literally scare anybody. And then there's one to where you get the skull mask to the Skull Kid in the Lost Woods. So honestly, I predict that is the same Skull Kid from Majora's Mask, because we all know that like he definitely has a connection to Saria. And then finally, the bunny hood being given to the Running Man, who just wanders around Hyrule during the day and stops at night. But one thing for certain, Sora, I'm sure you remember, is that when you're doing the quest, if you do not have enough money to pay back the salesman, he kind of gets pissed at you. He kind of gives you the glaring eyes and like looks at you angry, saying like, you don't have the money? Well, you better go get that money back so you can pay me.
Yeah. he is ready to basically steal your soul.
Yes. Also, looking in the Twitch chat, Nick and Satra, welcoming you guys. Yes, thank you, Goof. Yes. I just want to throw a reminder out there that whenever I'm doing a podcast, just a big reminder: the sound clips are turned off. I do turn off sound clips for the podcast. I really do apologize for the inconvenience. But I hope you guys are having a good day. Welcome in, Nick, Nicholas, and Satria. Hope you guys are having an awesome Thursday today.
Welcome in to both of you guys.
Yeah, thank y'all for coming here. So Sora, I gotta know, do you think the Happy Mask Salesman is actually is a Hyrule native, or do you think he's from another land? Knowing that he's a man who, like, with many wonders, being able to travel far and wide, collecting masks, and then opening up his shop in the Hyrule market.
Part of me kind of questions that, honestly. I want to say he's Hyrule native, but at the same time, there's no concrete proof of that. Especially since he has been seen in other lands as well, like over the course of the games.
Yeah.
So, personally, I'm leaning more on him not being Hyrule native.
Yeah, it kind of leads to a lot of questions as to where the Happy Mask Salesman actually is very fun, because I like how you point that out, that he actually does make an appearance in another game. I know this one's gonna be a little bit short, but I definitely wanted to bring it up for this case. Was the Happy Mask Salesman making an appearance in the land of Labrada, also in a different timeline, but he doesn't have much of a connection to the story. Like, we don't know if that's the same man in a different timeline or a reincarnation of the Happy Mask Salesman. I mean, honestly, there's not much going on in Oracle of Ages. He's just a man who just says like, oh, I'm hungry. I'm so pissed off because I'm hungry. If you give me meat, I will trade you for a doggy mask, and then you can just call it a day. Like, you can't buy masks from him in his store. He's just there for a trade quest.
The funny thing is, in that game, he looks more demented and demonic than what he does in any other game.
Yeah, he does. Now, going on back to Ocarina of Time, there's something very mysterious about him. So, if you remember, Sora, like, after the hero time is placed into stasis for 7 years, because obviously, you know, he's too young to be the hero time, so the sages had to put his body to sleep. But obviously, we know, Ganondorf comes to Hyrule. He takes the Triforce of Power for himself. He rules the land. The kingdom is actually a complete ruin. He takes over it. And then all the people who were native, or who resided in the Hyrule market, all lead to the Kakariko village. And you see a lot of natives who originally lived in the market. Like you would see, like, the woman who lost her dog, aka Little Richard. The twin brothers, the guy running the bazaar shop, the potion shop, like the old man who just wanders around town. Like, you see all these people already moving to Kakariko Village because everything is destroyed. But the one person that you don't see is the Happy Mask Salesman. He's just gone.
He's true, actually.
He's gone. Like, literally, you can play through Ocarina of Time and you can look everywhere. You can look everywhere in the Kingdom of Hyrule. He's nowhere in the ruins. He's nowhere in Kakariko Village. He's nowhere on Death Mountain. He's nowhere in the Gerudo Desert. He's nowhere in hiding. He's gone. He's literally gone. But the weird part is that you actually see him during the post credits, where he's dancing with where he's during the celebration dance.
Sort of to wonder what the heck he's up to during the whole time that Ganondorf is rolling over Hyrule.
It kind of leaves me a lot of questions as to where he actually went. Part of me wants to think, like, knowing him as a traveling merchant, I feel like that he probably went out to more lands to definitely go, like, collect the masks that he actually hasn't collected yet. And part of me wants to think that obviously this is before the events of Majora's Mask, and I'm pretty sure he probably went to go collect the masks that are on his backpack that we see in Majora's Mask. So just like that random Mario mask you see, all the other masks he's got in his bag. I'm pretty sure he probably went to go collect to different lands just to go get those masks.
Hey, I'm gonna stop you there. I don't think that's the case because of two reasons.
Okay.
One, if he did go off to other lands to get those masks, why would he come back just for the post credits for like the celebration? That on its own makes no sense. And for another, during this, keep in mind, this celebration where he shows up again in the end credits, it's 7 years after Link is a child, right?
Yes.
Supposedly during his adult time. Majora's Mask is only 1 year later.
Yeah.
So that would be indicating that he would be going off to these other lands and getting those masks you see in Majora's Mask 6 years after Majora's Mask even happens.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's possible just because of that.
Yes.
Because he would have already had those masks 6 years prior.
Yeah, it definitely leads to a lot of questions. And the reason why I say he probably got those masks is because he's taken on his role as a traveling merchant, because he does mention about that in Majora's Mask, which we'll get to in a minute. So
Yeah.
that was definitely was my guess. Unless he probably found him somewhere in Hyrule, like a place Link hasn't visited.
Now, granted, yeah, he probably did go off somewhere to like sell masks or whatever, but I definitely do not think it was for the masks that are on his backpack in Majora's Mask, because he would have had them 6 years earlier. So
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, it does raise like a lot of questions as to like, you know, like where did he actually go after after Ganondorf took over the kingdom? Like, it just raises a lot of questions. There's no confirmations like what happened to him. The only thing we can probably guess is that he definitely went into hiding. Somewhere mysterious that other people in Hyrule don't even know.
that's it. He went off and became Ganondorf's servant.
He's like, "Can I sell you some masks, sir?"
I will sell masks to the people of your kingdom, Lord Ganondorf.
You son of a bastard.
Also, hi, Elsa.
Yes, looking at Twitch chat, Elsa, welcome on in. Thank you for everybody tuning into the podcast. Sora and I really do appreciate you guys being here today. Also,
Yes.
welcome in, Paul. Also, looking at Twitch chat again, Bowie, welcome in, buddy. How's it going?
Bowie, good to see you.
Bowie says, "Now I think the Happy Mask Salesman was selling highly in Froyo because mask sales were doing good during Ganondorf's reign." Yes. That's exactly what he was doing. Also, Goof, thank you for giving a shout out to Bowie.
Honestly, Bowie, I wouldn't even be surprised that that was true.
Much appreciated. But, anyway. So, I think we pretty much discussed everything about, we did mention about the pieces from Oracle of Ages, and I think we pretty much covered mostly everything that we obviously know from Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we finally get to move on to his starring role. And this is going to be a lot. We finally are going to be talking about Majora's Mask. So, obviously, honestly, we all know that the Happy Mask Salesman definitely plays a massive role in this game. And obviously, to summarize things up, we all know that the hero of time has gone to the Lost Woods to go find his lost friend, Navi, because obviously we all know, and I definitely had talked about this before, I definitely want to take this back real quick, and I promise y'all we will get back to the Happy Mask Salesman in a bit. But we definitely want to keep in mind, Sora, that about the Link that we know here, this hero of time, like knowing about all the things that happened to him, his childhood, he didn't get to have one. And all the time that he just spent in the Kokiri Forest, like, interacting with all the people who lived there, he was just an outcast. He was just a kid and, like, didn't have a fairy and just, like, he just lived there. And then until, like, he had to fulfill and meet his destiny after he met his friend Navi. And then, of course, and then he had to take on a very specific task where fate chose him to act when he was, when he was just a little boy. And he's going on this quest in Hyrule to, like, obtain all the spiritual stones, and then 7 years later, he gets thrust into the future where he's in this grown-up body, but he's just a kid in his mind. So he was just a kid who was just forced to grow up so fast, and then he gets sent back into 7 years into the past to reclaim the 7 years of the childhood that he didn't get to have. And then he warns Princess Zelda saying, "Hey, I need to warn you. Ganondorf's coming to Hyrule, so I just thought I'd let you know. But, and then of course, Zelda being aware of this, she entrusts him with the Ocarina of Time. But we all know one thing that of course this hero of time wants. He just wants to go find his friend, Navi, and he just makes his way to the Lost Woods. And then from there, he gets ambushed by the Skull Kid and his 2 fairies, and they end up stealing his Ocarina of Time, including the opponent himself. And then he's in hot pursuit, chasing after them, and then Link gets cursed by the Skull Kid wearing Majora's mask by turning him into a Deku Sprout. And then one of those fairies actually end up ditching Skull Kid, to where she decides to team up with the Hero of Time. But going back to that, the Hero of Time has been through a lot, Sora.
Oh, yeah, he has. Also, just one quick correction. When it comes to opponent, you mean herself.
Oh, did I say himself?
Yep, you did.
Oh, okay. Okay, my bad. I mean,
complete accident.
I mean, I also could have meant like Link chasing the Skull Kid.
Oh, okay. Then maybe I'm just misremembering, or not misremembering. I misunderstood.
No, it's all good. Let's see. Reading what Bowie said, I feel bad for Link after he saved Hyrule when Zelda preventing Ganondorf from taking over and becoming a kid again. Although he enjoyed his childhood, he knows he's an orphan. Yeah, Bowie, he definitely has been through a lot, though. I mean, he did enjoy his childhood, but he was just a complete outcast because of all the things that, like, happened to him, like, to where fate chose him to act so quickly at such a young age. And then he said, and then Bowie says, I wonder where Tattle and Tail come from. Did he also come from the Great Deku Tree? You know, it's kind of a big possibility. Because when you do think about it, in the child timeline, even though the Hero of Time definitely did defeat Ganondorf, in this timeline, Ganondorf is still alive, and while Link is running off to like go save another land, Ganondorf actually comes to Hyrule and attacks it. So this probably could mean that in this timeline, the Deku Tree is definitely still alive. The Deku Tree is still alive to where he's not dead. And that's probably where all the fairies came from.
Is that really true, though? Because, like, whenever Link's a kid, the Great Deku Tree dies before Ganondorf ever takes over. Like, literally after you get the Kokiri Emerald, and Majora's Mask takes place only a year later, before the Great Deku Tree sprout ever grew.
Yeah, but Bowie's asking where they came from, but that's a really deep question to think about. Where did Tattle and Tail came from?
Yeah, I know that's what Bowie was asking, but like, I was questioning the answer that you gave.
You're right. I was like, he did die, but I'm saying like, So I'm probably in the child timeline. He's probably dead, but he's probably still dead.
Well, my thing is, like, what if Tattle and Tail are residents of Termina? Because you gotta keep in mind, Termina is an alternate version of Hyrule.
This is true. So I'm pretty sure that's probably where they came from. They probably were, like, there probably are, like, Terminian versions of Navi.
Yeah, who Link decided to go try to hunt for God knows what reason.
Exactly. Didn't the Skull Kid come from Link's dimension, which is Hyrule 2? Yes. Yeah, that is the same Skull Kid that Link interacts with in the Lost Woods Ocarina of Time. The one who, like, he plays Saria's songs, too, and he's like, hey, you're friends with Saria, we should be friends. That is without a doubt the same guy. Because at the end of the game, he smells Link and says, like, hey, you smell like the same kid who learned that song in the woods.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the Skull Kid never outright said Saria's name, but he did kind of hint at it, saying that he had the same smell as the fairy kid, so...
Yes, it is definitely a strong possibility. And now, so once we see a cursed Link end up in Termina, and he finally reaches to the top of the clock tower, actually not at the top, like, in, like, the corridor of the clock tower, he finally meets the Happy Mask Salesman. Okay, but before we get to that, we got another discussion from Bowie. Bowie says, so maybe Skull Kid is from Hyrule. Tattle and Tail came from Termina, and then both met up in Termina. Makes me wonder how fairies are born in Termina. Maybe the Great Fairies have something to do with making them? You know, it could be a possibility, Bowie. Since
You
honestly,
raised a really good point there, actually.
yeah, since obviously, since great fairies are existent, in the land of Termina, you have like the great fairies of power, wisdom, courage, etc., and great fairies of magic. It could be possible that they were the ones who actually created Tattle and Tail, because there are different variations of fairies in that land as well, especially the ones that Link actually collects in the 4 dungeons.
Yeah. Like, I didn't even consider the fact that, with the Skull Kid coming from Hyrule to Termina, that Tattle and Tail could have as well. So,
Yeah.
I didn't even consider that, so
It could
that's
probably,
a good point.
That's a good point, Bowie. Good job, buddy.
Yeah, because, like, aside from, you know, like, the random fairies you find that you put in bottles, the only other variants of fairy you see are the ones you just mentioned, the stray fairies.
Yes.
And they look nothing like Tattle and Tail.
They don't. They look
Literally
entirely
nothing.
different.
They
Yeah.
look like freaking bunnies that are flying with their ears. That's how I always seen them.
They do kind of look like that. They kind of do, and they have like their lips all puckered up.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny.
It is funny to think about.
So anyway, so going back to the first confrontation, Link and Tattle finally meet the Happy Mask Salesman, which of course he starts with the famous line, and Sora, I'll let you say it.
You've met with a terrible fate, haven't you?
And honestly, what kind of is creepy is that the Happy Mask Salesman seems to know a lot more than meets the eye. Because when he first interacts with Link, you know, he talks about like how he's traveled far and wide as a happy mask, as a mask salesman, a traveling merchant has been to like across the land, and he even mentioned saying like, you know what, I've been following you. That's honestly that's really creepy.
Don't think me rude, but I've been like following you all across Termina.
Yeah, that's kind of not creepy at all.
I'm just sitting here like, okay, you're stalking me, yet you're not being rude. Okay, I'm just gonna eyeball the shotgun over there and put an end to that.
Yeah. So when he does talk about talks to Link, he talks about of course his precious mask that's been stolen, aka Majora's mask. But then he talks about one thing. So the question is, I mean, I know we talked about this in our moon discussion back in April with Landy, to where he says, you know, like, hey, you know, my mask has been stolen, so I'm going somewhere in 3 days. I'm in a hurry, so I'm gonna need you to get it back. But what's kind of equivalent to that is that also in 3 days, that's when the moon falls down. So, what do you think he meant? So, what do you think he's really going, Sora, when he says like, hey, I need to be somewhere in 3 days. I'm kind of in a hurry. Like, do you think this is kind of like a request to like, hey, you know, if I don't get this back, you know, I need it soon so I can go back to the afterlife or something? Because we honestly do not know much about this man. You know, he can there's definitely raised a lot of questions. You know, maybe he's like some entity, a deity. Maybe he's like some sort of ghost or spirit. Because at the end of the game, we see him just walk off into the sunset and he just vanishes.
Yeah.
So what does that mean to you? Where you're saying like, I'm in a hurry. It's in 3 days, so you better hurry up.
The way I always interpreted that is I feel like he was wanting to take the mask back to his shop in Hyrule, especially since I think the side quest you do with the masks is kind of canon in a way, because you basically increase the popularity of his mask shop doing the side quest.
You really do.
And as a result, you have a lot more masks that you can get from there. But because of this, he wants to go around getting more masks for his shop, right?
Yes.
That's why I think he wanted Majora's mask for either display in his shop as like a trophy or to sell. But there is no way that he would go after that mask and say all of that if he didn't know beforehand what was going to actually happen as a result of having that mask. Especially since the frickin' Skull Kid stole it from him. He knew all hell was gonna break loose.
Oh yeah, he definitely knew all hell was his. And honestly, when you do think about it, Sora, like even at the start, when you go to the when you go to the start of the game, they do talk about like how we definitely get to learn about the origin of Majora's Mask. We talk about learning about this ancient dark tribe who performed dark hexing rituals, and how they created a fearless power, so they had to steal it away. And even the Happy Mask Salesman says I've gone to great lengths to get that mask, and now that imp has stolen it. So
yeah,
it kind of makes me question as to how he actually got it.
Yeah, that's actually what I was about to say. It makes you wonder what lengths he went to get that mask. That mask was literally sealed away in shadow. Basically it was sealed away in hell. So how on earth did he get it?
It kind of raised me a lot of questions though. I feel like that he probably had to go to this dark corridor area, maybe a dark corridor area to figure out what was where he actually got it from. Obviously, there's no confirmation as to where he actually got it. How is he able to attain Majora's Mask? How is he able to get into possession? But it just raises a lot of questions as to where he got it from.
Well, considering the fact that at the end of Majora's Mask, he literally walked into the sunset and then faded out of existence, that wouldn't surprise me.
So it probably could be that he's just some deity or something. But
he won it in a poker game, oh my lord. Kojiro.
Good golly, Paul. Anyway, but what was I gonna say? So honestly, I really do love how he definitely brings on a few quotes. Such as you met with a terrible fate, haven't you? And you can definitely you can definitely know that he definitely has a lot of faith in Link, because he says one of the following lines. Believe in yourself, believe in your strengths. Surely you can do it. So he definitely has a lot of faith, but it kind of seems to know that he's definitely more as a magic man, because after Link obtains the Ocarina of Time, he teaches Link the Song of Healing. So knowing that he has a lot of faith in a child, why out of all people, a child, why would he want to teach such a really powerful song that definitely heals souls and then just transforms them into masks?
I guarantee you I guarantee in some way he knew that Link was the hero of time. He had to have.
Yeah, and honestly, it's like we were saying before the start of this podcast, he definitely seems to know a lot more than meets the eye. He seems to, he knows about who Link is, he knows about the hero of time, he knows about Majora's Mask, how, what kind of power it definitely contains, how is he able to get into possession. He definitely seems to know a lot of things. There's a man behind that crazy smile who seems to know a lot about literally everything.
Yep, and behind that evil smile is a literal demon staring at you with a dead-eyed stare, just thinking,
I'll rip your face off and make a mask out of it.
Pretty much. But yeah, he definitely seems to know a lot more as to what he's thinking about. And when you also think about it, at the start of the game, we learn from Tattle that we actually learned from Tattle that the Happy Mask Salesman actually ambushes the Happy Mask Salesman. Because obviously we know in Hyrule history that when a member of the Kokiri Forest, a kid from the Kokiri Forest gets lost in the Lost Woods, they turn into Skull Kids. Adults turn into Salfos. But the one thing that they do have, that Skull Kids have in common, is that they don't attack children. They only attack adults. That definitely explains why, when a grown-up hero of time makes it back to the forest, to the Lost Woods, to go find the Forest Temple and go help Saria, he goes up to the Skull Kids and to the members of the Kokiri Forest, but they don't recognize him because they didn't know that Link was in reality a Hylian, not a Kokiri, and these Skull Kids, they have that, they're scared, they have that fear of abandonment and being lost. So that's definitely explains like why, to an extent, that the Skull Kid was able to attack the Happy Mask Salesman and usually just take it for himself, and thus becoming like a puppet to that mask, even though it just like literally possessed him. Like, it definitely says a lot right there, really.
Yeah, it does. Okay, Bowie actually brought up something that's kind of interesting. He says, makes you wonder if Happy Mask Salesman's face is a mask. I also wondered that too. I question that now that you said it.
That is a really good one. Also, also looking at Twitch chat, Spyro, welcome on in. How's it going? Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome in, Spyro. Welcome in.
But anyway, that's a really big question, because honestly, I know I'm definitely gonna bring it up to a psychological kind of point. Everybody talks about your true face. What kind of person that you really are. Like people when you look at somebody that you interact with, you want to know to an extent like what kind of person they truly are. You want to know if they actually are wearing a mask to kind of like hide their true identity.
Funny thing is, as a kid, that quote will easily go over your head.
Yeah, it definitely raises a lot of questions as to who his personality is really like. It raises like a lot of questions about it, but
It adds another question to the pile of questions we already have.
Exactly, but yeah, it definitely brings a lot of questions. Like if his face is actually a real face, but honestly, probably like his true face is probably like his angry face, because he definitely shows like a lot of anger, because you can see like him literally shaking Link, saying like what have you done to me? You didn't get the mask back. Terrible things are gonna happen if you do not get this back. You better get this back now.
For real though, I wouldn't be surprised if the Happy Mask Salesman was secretly a demon wearing a transformation mask that turns him into a human. And it's just a
what? That could be a really interesting theory. Or maybe he's literally like a deity or god, like literally wearing a mask, and but he mostly takes on the form as a human. That definitely explains why off into the sunset at the end of the game, he disappears. Like nobody, he just straight up vanishes.
Yeah, the only reason that thought came to my mind is because of what Bowie said. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, that's a really good one, Bowie. I like that one. I really do like that one. Now, another thing I definitely do want to think about. Now, the one thing I do want to think about is that Paul also says, considering why the Happy Mask Salesman is the only other person who's not affected by the Ocarina resetting time 3 days. This is true. I mean, also Link is not affected by it. I mean, nothing changes from him or anything. So it definitely raises a lot of questions about, mostly towards the Happy Mask Salesman.
Not to mention, the Happy Mask Salesman also knows how the Ocarina functions.
This is true. Like I said, he definitely seems to know a lot more than meets the eye. But also, part of me wants to think, I know we talked about this in April when we were in that podcast. Doing that episode with Landy. Kind of wants to think like, what if this all was a setup? What if this all was like a game? Like this is like his game. Because think about it, the Happy Mask Salesman was the one who obtained the Majora's Mask. He went through great lengths to get that mask. He knows how powerful it is. Like all the trials that he to an extent that he had to get it in his possession. And now he knows about the Hero of Time and knowing how he got ambushed by the Skull Kid. So, and the thing is, if he is considered to be this mysterious magic man who's definitely is capable of healing the souls of the living or the innocent, and just transforms them into mask, it definitely explains why on his own, why couldn't he be the one just to play the Song of Healing to stop the Skull Kid from with his antics? Because knowing about the Hero of Time, he kind of figured, like, oh, knowing, like, the Skull Kids are afraid of adults rather than children, so he had to put this on another child. He had to put it on the child, because here's the thing. At the start of Majora's Mask, when Link and the Skull Kid meet for the first time, does the Skull Kid actually attack Link? No, he doesn't. I mean, Link goes after him, but the Skull Kid doesn't, like, take out his flute and, like, shoot darts at him, kind of like what happens if you're an adult in time. He doesn't attack him, because he's not scared of him. He's not scared of a child.
True. Although that would have been funny, I'm not gonna lie.
That definitely would. So I kind of feel like, this is all just a game. Like, I feel like this is all like a game and a literal test from the Happy Mask Salesman. Because he know, like, it's like we were talking about, Sora. He definitely seems to know a lot about the Hero of Time. There's a man behind that big smile who knows literally everything. But, like, he had a feeling, like, what if he knew the whole time that the Hero of Time was coming? What if he already knew from the start?
Oh, I'm sure he knew because of the fact that he literally said at the start of the game that he was literally following you.
So
he wouldn't have known to follow Link if he didn't know he was coming.
Exactly. So at the cost of everything that's happening, he literally, this is to me, I kind of felt like, not only was this a game by the Happy Mask Salesman, but I felt like this was a test to see if the Hero of Time actually claims to say who he really is. And, like, literally, because like I said, like with him, he'd be like, yeah, I could have just taken out like like a fairy ocarina. I could have played or used the massive organ. I definitely could have played. I probably could have played the Song of Healing, and I could have called it a day. But no, the thing is, Skull Kids are literally afraid of adults, so that's why he attacked him. So that's why he chose to follow Link, because it had to be another child to challenge Majora's Mask and to challenge the Skull Kid. So it had to be another child. That's why he entrusted Link with the Hero of Time. And we all know that the Song of Healing definitely is a really, really powerful song. But we can't say like how powerful it is, like in comparison to the Song of Time. But we know for a fact, Sora, that the Song of Healing is such a powerful song. Being able to like heal the souls of like the innocent, of like mostly each character that Link has interacted with, and to where their souls are transferred into a mask. Which obviously this applied with like the mask of the Deku Scribe for the Deku Butler's son, the Goron champion Darmani, and the Zora guitarist Mikau.
Yes.
Now, part of me wants. Now, here's the one thing. There definitely are quite a few transformation masks. I mean, I already talked about the Deku, the Goron, the Zora. We all obviously know there is a Giant's mask. But, here is one thing. Since the Happy Mask Salesman seems to know about every mask that you collected in the game. Because if you collected pretty much all the masks, both transformation and non-transformation, and if you put them on and you talk to him while wearing it, he will give you information about it. He'll be like, oh, that's the couple's mask. Oh, that's the bunny hood. I see you got the Bremen's mask. You got the postman's hat, and so forth. Like, he can just go on forever and just tell you, like, information about each of the masks that you've collected. But, one thing for sure, and we definitely will get to this in a minute, is, like, do you feel like, Sora, that the Happy Mask Salesman also known about the ultimate mask, the one that is powerful than Majora, Fierce Deity. But before we get to that, let's read Bowie's question first. Bowie brought up an interesting question. Since Happy Mask Salesman was following Link to Termina, did he already know how to access Termina, and he's been in Termina many times before Link entered Termina, or he and Link are in Termina for the very first time together? You know, Bowie, that's a really great question. I really do feel like that the Happy Mask Salesman definitely knew about Termina first before Link showed up. So, it's like we've been saying before, he definitely tends to know more than meets the eye. And since he definitely played a role as a traveling merchant, like collecting masks and like going to like numerous amount of places to various lands, it could be a possibility that he's probably has been there before. but mostly at the start, he had to pick Termina as part of his game to see if the Hero of Time is worthy of, like, being able to obtain Majora's Mask back, to, like, vanquish the evil that's within that mask, and, like, just learn about the events of, like, Majora's Mask, like, and, like, everything that's happening in Termina.
Yeah, I also think the same thing. I think he already knew how to get there and everything. Like, the setup and everything that he has in Termina, there's no way he could have done all of that without knowing it was there prior.
Yeah,
exactly. No way.
Yeah, exactly. Like, obviously, we obviously know he wasn't the one who created the moon. That was the Majora's Mask possessing the Skull Kid. Of course, but to me, I just feel like this is all just a setup, from the start. The evil mask gets stolen, and then of course, he doesn't, go after the Skull Kid himself. He just puts this task on a child to do it.
Yeah, because he's a sicko.
Yes. But, anyway, do you feel like that he probably knows something about the fierce deity?
I'm pretty sure he does, if I'm being honest with you, because of a couple reasons. One, he knows about every other mask in the game already. And, not only that, but he knows about Majora's Mask itself. And the Fierce Deity's Mask literally has the same power as Majora's Mask. It has the exact same dark power and everything. So, the way I see it, there's no way he couldn't know. Especially considering all of the knowledge he has, all of the power he has, and all of the connections that are there, that he placed.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure everything was connected by him.
It does. And honestly, it kind of makes you think of another thing. What if actually was his true face was the fierce deity? Because Bowie brought up an interesting question about, like, what is he really like? Like, do you think like this face is literally just like a mask? Because like I said, it could, probably underneath that face, he's probably like a true deity or a god. But what if his true face was the fierce deity? But one thing that we also can say is that I did bring this up back in April, is that Mr. Aonuma was asked about the fierce deity's mask, about the origin of it, like whose face is in on the mask, and he was saying, like, well, I can't give you a logical answer. The only thing I can tell you is that the fierce deity's mask power comes from the memories of all the people in Termina.
Yeah, but I was also about to bring up another thing as well in regards to the Fierce Deity Mask, and why I also feel like he knows about it.
Okay, go ahead.
Let's look at how you get the mask in the first place.
Yes.
The Happy Mask Salesman knows about every single mask in the game. And the Fierce Deity's Mask, in order to get it, you have to acquire every mask he knows about. Not only that, but you have to give those masks to the Moon Children who are wearing all of the Remains masks. And then, after that, the only kid remaining on the moon who wears Majora's Mask gives you the Fierce Deity's Mask. Out of all 5 of those children on the moon, all of them have the exact same face as the Happy Mask Salesman. If you remove all of their masks, it's his face.
Exactly. And honestly, I'm glad you actually brought that up, Sora, because I really do want to, like, talk about that. I definitely wanted to talk about the Moon Children. Because honestly, I know we talked about this back in April with Landy, but, and honestly, each of the 4 Moon Children, they bring up a lot of interesting psychological kind of quotes, to where I'll definitely will read them. So the kid definitely wearing the Adola mask, he says, "Your friends, what kind of people are they? I wonder, do those people think of you as a friend?" And then there's the kid who's wearing the mask of Goat's Remains. "You, what makes you happy? I wonder, what makes you happy? Does it make others happy?" Then you have the kid wearing the Georg mask, where he says, "The right thing, what is it? I wonder, if you do the right thing, does it really make everybody happy?" And then finally, you have the kid wearing the Twin Mold mask, to where he says, "Your true face, what kind of face is it? I wonder, the face under the mask, is that your true face? So we talked about this back in April, to like how each of those moon children definitely have a connection to like 3 different characters in Majora's Mask. Like obviously the Adola kid, the kid wearing Adola mask definitely represents, it's more like a representation of the Skull Kid. You know, that's definitely is like, that's his character arc. Being able to like understand the fact like that he's lonely all the time, that fear of abandonment and being scared, you know, being able like and having to like lose friends that end up ditch him. To where we learned in Andrew's grandmother's story, to where he was friends with the 4 giants, and then they ditch him. And then he was also friends with two fairies, and then one of those end up ditching him.
Yeah, that checks out.
And then of course the goat, and the kid wearing the goat child. It definitely represents obviously the Happy Mask Salesman, because it takes on the numerous amount of words happy about many times, because you all know about, you know, the Happy Mask Salesman. He's goofy, quirky, and cheerful, all that kind of stuff. But, you know, there may be, like, a crazy man underneath that big smile who definitely knows more than meets the eye. But it definitely says a lot about him. And I feel like the kid wearing the goat mask definitely says a lot about the character arc for the Happy Mask Salesman. And then also you do have the Georg mask. To me, about saying, like, you know, the right thing, if you did the right thing, is this going to make everybody happy? We talked about this before, Sora, but this to me is Link's character arc. Him taking on, you know, this is him about who he is, and knowing about his own role, about him being the hero of time. Because one thing we ought to know, he did not get to pick the role of the hero of time. They chose him. They chose him for that role. And then looking at the last kid, to where he says, "Your true face, what kind of face is it?" Because when we do think about it, when Link ends up in Termina, to him it was like, you know what? I'm gonna go save this. I'm gonna go save all the people in this land. And when I do that, then I'm gonna go find my friend Navi. So he's taking on this role of like being able to like put other people in another land himself, another land before himself. So he's definitely is doing the right thing. But I feel like throughout, like, where Majora's Mask, this entire game is getting at, especially with that last quote, it kind of goes into a psychological question to where, you know, the game is like asking Link, like, you know, like, so Link, like, who are you really? Like, we all know that you're just a kid who took on the role and responsibility as the hero of time. But besides all of that, like, who are you? Like, we don't know much about you. And literally, to me, you know, knowing about him, like the way how he grew up in the Kokiri Forest, starting out as an outcast, and like having fate chosen to act so quickly, like honestly, he's literally lost. He's literally is a kid who's just lost, because after the events of Majora's Mask, when he goes back to Hyrule, you know, there's not much going on because he doesn't have a home to go to since Saria's gone. And there's no battle to fight because, you know, Hyrule's been taken care of in peace and Ganondorf's been sealed away. So, who does he get to be? Nobody.
Exactly.
The hero of time is completely lost. There's no home to go to. There's no war to fight because Hyrule's restored. Ganondorf is sealed away. So, where is he supposed to go? He's lost.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he's basically got nowhere to go.
He literally doesn't. But going back to the Happy Mask Salesman, I really do feel like that part of the power, just like Anuma said in an interview, to where he says, this contains the memories of all the power of Majora's Mask, contains all the fierce deity's mask, contains all the memories of the people who lived in Termina. And to me, this power is also shared with the Happy Mask Salesman. Because like I said, he seems to know a lot more than meets the eye. So it kind of makes you want to think if that actually is his true face as a deity. And the whole, like, you know, transformation of being a human, being in Hylian, and being able to interact with Link. That's gotta be a mask. That's what Bowie was bringing up as a theory question. That has to be a mask. And I do possibly feel like that the fierce deity is probably like his true face. And he definitely seems to know about the hero of time, because you definitely beg to differ. Is like when Link puts on the fierce deity's mask. Think about this, Sora. Why does he sound like adult Link from Ocarina of Time?
This is true.
Why does he sound like... And you want to know why? It's because the Happy Mask Salesman knows who Link is before all of this happened. So it basically is like a conjoint power. It's basically more like a conjoint power to where they had to to where Link actually shared his power with as soon as he puts on the mask, the fierce deity, he not only is he sharing the memories of the people who live in Termina, but he's also sharing the power of the Happy Mask Salesman, which is why it is so powerful. Because when you obtain the mask, the dialogue says, "Could this mask be more powerful than Majora's mask?"
This is true. And
Okay. Go ahead.
I was also gonna say, that goes back to kind of what we said earlier, actually, because we had already basically said that the Happy Mask Salesman knew who Link was already. So this more or less confirms that, in my opinion.
Yeah. Bowie brings up an interesting question where he says, and when you beat Majora's Mask with the Fierce Deity Mask, why doesn't the Happy Mask Salesman ask for the Fierce Deity's Mask? Makes you wonder if the Moon Children are part of the Happy Mask Salesman, since they have the same hairstyle. Yeah, you know, it's kind of funny, Bowie, because we actually were talking about that. So it definitely raises a lot of questions as to why under the remains of the masks of the bosses, why they kind of resemble the Happy Mask Salesman. But to an extent, through all the quotes that we learned, they definitely represent each of the three characters that we brought up earlier. Link, Happy Mask Salesman, and the Skull Kid. To where all three of those characters play a huge part in this game. And then literally with this last quote with the Twin Mole Kid, where he asked, your true face, what kind of face is it? So it's kind of asking mostly the question for all the three characters we talked about. So Skull Kid, who are you underneath the Majora's Mask? The Happy Mask Salesman, what kind of man are you? Who's just coming into Hyrule, being able to obtain Majora's Mask? Why is it that you know a lot more than meets the eye? And to Link, knowing that you are the hero, that you took on the role as the hero of time, who are you? Who are all these people? Is more like a psychological question.
Yeah. Not them pulling up Patrick Star and being like, "Who are you people?"
Oh my god. And then Bowie says, and he wanted to get Majora's Mask so badly that he could win over his enemy and keep the evil magic from entering Majora's Mask again. Exactly, Bowie. What I was getting at is that this kind of feels like a game. Because when you're in a game, you want to win. Right? So to me, this is all just a game. This is a setup. Obviously to him, he can be like, yeah, I could just play the Song of Healing, and I can just take off the mask from the Skull Kid and just call it a day. Simple as that. He could have simply just done that. But no. Knowing the fact that the Skull Kid are definitely afraid of adults, and he knew that the Happy Mask Salesman himself couldn't do it, he had to, and knowing that Skull Kids aren't afraid of children, he had to seek a child to do it, which is why he discovered Link. And that's why Link had to take on the responsibility of protecting the land of Termina, helping out all the people who resided within the area. And it's all a game. And then going back to what you were saying, Bowie, because there's also another quote that I definitely do want to bring up, Sora, is what he says at the end of the game. To where you can see that he's holding Majora's Mask in his possession at the end of the game. And he says, "As I fought, so the evil has left the mask after all." And I definitely want to get your thoughts on this quote right here, Sora, to where he says at the end before he vanishes. And I wanted to know, what do you think this means to you? He says this, and I quote, "Whenever there is a meeting, a parting shall follow, but that parting needs not last forever. Whether a parting be forever, or merely for a short while, that is up to you."
So what I got out of that quote was two things. It can mean one, for now your journey is over, but that doesn't mean you'll never see your friends again. you could easily see them again one day. Second thing I got out of that is, this isn't the last time you've seen me, Hero of Time. I will be back. I always come back.
Oh my god.
Because I'm the evil mask salesman. And I will rip your face off and make a mask out of it.
Oh, Paul brings up an interesting question. He says maybe the Fierce Deity mask had to stay up on the moon and can't return with Link. You know,
well,
that
see,
is a...
See, honestly, like, you do bring up a good point there, but after you, well, I mean, this happens after you beat Majora, so I don't think this technically counts. But after you beat the game, it saves, and then you can restart your save file with the mask already in your possession. So Link does have it, but this also happens only after you finish the story. So what you said there could potentially be true.
It could potentially be true because the thing is, like you don't even have to get the Fierce Deity to beat Majora. You don't even have to do it. It's just optional. It's just completely optional.
Yeah, you could choose to get the mask and then just overpower the crap out of him, or get good and beat him without it. The choice is yours. The possibilities are endless.
Yeah, and honestly, you know, and kind of going back to that quote, it definitely brings a lot more, you know, where he says, like, you know, that party may not last forever. Because honestly, he definitely knows, like, about, he's definitely is, like, aware about, like, how Link is on this quest to go find his friend Navi. So he's probably saying, like, hey, you know, your venture is over, you can continue what you're doing, and I'm sure you probably will find your friend Navi. And I feel like at the end of this game, in a psychological standpoint, and I'm glad that Landy actually brought this up back in April, to where after all of this has happened, he literally takes off the mask from, like, you know, like, from each of the two different characters. He takes off the mask from Skull Kid, or saying, like, you know, like, hey, you know, you don't need to be this prankster who's, like, scared and, like, afraid and having that fear of abandonment. You get to go reunite with the friends that you lost. You know, you get to reunite with them and be their friend again, because at the end of the game, he is seen just, like, spending time, obviously, with you know, with Tattle and Tail. And then, to me, he takes out the mask for Link, saying, like, you know, you no longer don't need to be the hero of time anymore. You can go home, you can live your life, all that good stuff, which honestly definitely raises a lot of possibilities as to the events that happened after Majora's Mask, before the hero of time died.
It honestly does.
And honestly, when you do think about it, he definitely, you know, he I remember you brought this up, Sora, but there was a quote. I don't remember what quote that is. I would need to find it. Excuse me. There is a quote that he says, like, after, to where he actually, he's about to get ready to leave. And he says, like the masks that you collected, you know, are good happiness.
Oh yeah, what he says is, the masks you have are filled with happiness. This is truly a good happiness.
Yes, exactly. Also, looking in the Twitch chat, Heather, welcome on in.
Hey Heather, welcome on in. How are you doing? Oh, also, I just now saw Beth also says hello.
Also, welcome in, Beth. Okay, so I'm actually looking at this quote. I'm actually looking at the quote right now. I actually had to look it up. Okay, so he talks about the mask as the evil from the mask is left after all. He says he's finally had it back, and then now here's a quote right here, to where he looks at Link and says, "Shouldn't you be returning home as well?" Okay, so we already read the one where there's a meeting that's followed. That is up to you. And then right here, it says it right here. But you sure have managed to make quite a number of people happy. The masks you actually have are filled with happiness. This is truly a good happiness. So honestly, to me, it feels like he did his job. He took off the... Also, Sky, welcome in. Welcome in, Sky.
Guy, welcome in. How are you doing?
But anyway, so honestly, by going through those quotes, Sora, it definitely says a lot. Honestly, to a psychological standpoint, to where he tells Link, you sure make quite a lot of people happy, because when you look at the quote from the Moon Children, to do the right thing, do you think it will make a lot of people happy? And to me, that kid, that Moon kid, represented Link, taking on the role and responsibility as the hero of time, and like putting other people first and an entire land before himself, and he saved an entire civilization. So honestly, when you definitely look at it at a psychological standpoint, he literally took the mask off each of the two different characters. Like, as I was saying before, like Skull Kid, you don't need to be a prankster and this scared person who has that fear of like abandonment and losing his friends. You can go reunite with your friends, the 4 giants, and you can also be friends with the 2 fairies who ended up ditching you. Well, one of them, but at least you got your friends back. And then Link, when he tells Link, like, shouldn't you be going home? Shouldn't you be going home? You've quite have made a lot of people happy, because the Happy Mask Salesman knows. He knows about him being the hero of time. He knows, like, hey, you don't need to be the hero of time anymore. You can live your life to the fullest. Even though, to an extent, we already know that the hero of time doesn't have a home to go to anymore as soon as he gets back from Hyrule.
No, he doesn't.
He really does, but so part of me wants to think, Sora, is that this whole time, this is all it was, just a game from a deity himself.
It would have to be. Like, that's the only explanation I can come up with for how he knows everything he knows. And the fact that he knows about the Fierce Deity's mask, how he knows about Majora's mask and the curse that's on it, how he was able to obtain the mask in the first place, how he was able to travel from Hyrule to Termina in the manner that he did. Like, that's the only explanation that there could be. And going back to what I said about the Moon Children earlier, all 5 of the Moon Children beneath the mask bear his face.
They really do.
I believe, on top of everything we said earlier, that they are also figments that came from him. Because he, on top of everything else, knows about the residents of Termina and how they feel.
Exactly. It does, because he, like I said, he knows about pretty much every person that lives there, and like literally the entire land of Termina, it's all a massive game board. It's a massive game board, and Link gets the pawn. And as soon as Link was able to vanquish Majora's Mask, it was like a literal checkmate, to where the game is finally over. So to him, it's like, it's like, hey, this is my game, but you have 3 days to do it. And if you fail, terrible things will happen. Which meaning, of course, if you fail to, like, save the moon and you see Link getting, like, obliterated, you'll die. Because at the end, in the game over screen, you see the same quote from the Happy Mask Salesman. You've met with a terrible fate, haven't you?
Yeah, checks out.
So to me, as I was saying, like, the whole setup to, like, how, like, being able to get the mask back, teaching Link, teaching Link the Song of Healing, this is pretty much the game of the Happy Mask Salesman. And then to where he concludes it saying, you've made a lot of people happy. And then, of course, he says on the line where whenever there's a meeting, whenever there's a meeting, a party should follow. But the party need not last forever. Whether the party be forever or merely for a short time, to where he ends it in a good way, that is up to you. So in a psychological standpoint, it's like, you know what? I took off the mask of the kind of person that you really are. So instead of asking yourself, so Link, who are you underneath that mask? Now you get to finally truly discover what kind of person you really are under that mask. Other than just like, the boy without a fairy, the boy who took on the role as the hero of time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Bowie brings up another question. You know what's a good theory? You know how Fierce Deity Mask looks like Link? Maybe the Fierce Deity Mask looks like whenever he owns the mask at the time. Happy Mask Salesman, of course, doesn't look like Link. So I wonder if Happy Mask Salesman would own that mask. I wonder what it would look like. And his face. Yeah, we were saying that earlier, Bowie. Like, it's a strong theory that was actually his true face, like as a literal god, because like when Link puts it on, he has no pupils, and it kind of makes you think as to why, like throughout the entire time when he talked to the Happy Mask Salesman, his eyes are closed, throughout the entirety. But
this is true.
So honestly, what we were saying is that he definitely has some conjoint powers. So when Link was able to put on the Fierce Deity Mask and to why he sounds like adult Link, they were basically like powers like shared together. And then one thing I actually want to bring up real quick, like his goofiness, like his sourness and everything, I kind of brought up to another question, Sora.
Mm-hmm.
About the Happy Mask Salesman possibly having an ancient ancestor. Now, part of me wants to think, and I'm actually going to pull up a picture real quick and I'll share it with you guys. But I feel like that he also had an ancestor during the Zelda timeline. Let me find out. Let me find it. I'm going to find it. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen real quick.
Okay.
So I really wanted to bring this up. So part of me wants to think that the Happy Mask Salesman also had an ancestor, and part of me wants to think that his ancestor is Rupin from Skyward Sword. For anybody who does not know, has not played Skyward Sword, is basically this man who runs the bazaar shop in Skyward. You know, he puts on the same smile, the same facial expression. You know, he definitely wanted to, like, buy all his stuff. So he puts on a smile throughout the entire time. And when you don't buy his stuff, you know, he kind of gives you, like, an unamused face. And then when you talk to him at night, he's usually like this over in this picture. To where he just, like, you know, to where he says, like, you know, I get tired of smiling all day. It gets frustrating being around people to associate with. So that kind of makes me question, do you think, Sora, that Rupin here is probably like a long-lost ancestor to the Happy Mask Salesman, and the Happy Mask Salesman is a descendant of Rupin?
I kind of do, for a few reasons. The reasons, of course, being what you brought up, but also he even makes the exact same gestures as the Happy Mask Salesman.
He does.
Like, he literally does the same thing with the hands and, like, the facial expressions, and even to some extent, he has the same face and hairstyle.
Exactly. And the thing is, Sora, what is one thing that that both Rupin from Skyward Sword and the Happy Mask Salesman have in common?
They both run shops.
Exactly. They both run businesses. Both of them do. Both of them do. They both run businesses to make money.
Also, you had a bit of a missed opportunity to jokingly say that the Happy Mask Salesman's ancestor was actually the demon Beatrix.
Wait, are you talking about Batrox? The Batman? The Bat dude?
Yeah, that guy. I always forget how to pronounce his name.
Oh my god. Okay, also Spider comes in. Spider, welcome in, buddy. How you doing?
Strange, I always thought they were the same person.
Okay, and then from Bowie says this. Did you read the rest of what I said? No, I read everything, Bowie. I did. No, I did. I was answering your question because we already talked about it. But I did read it. And then he says, I know what you said, but the face that you see of the Happy Mask Salesman is a mask. If the Happy Mask Salesman finally owns the Fierce Deity Mask, well, the Fierce Deity Mask actually reflects the owner's face, which wouldn't be the Happy Mask Salesman's face, but his true face. Like I was saying with Fierce Deity, looking like Link's link on the map. Yeah, it's like, to me, like, I feel like with the whole, like, non-pupil thing, that was probably, like, the Happy Mask Salesman's true face before taking on, like, you know, the whole transformation of being a human. So, and, like, the reason when Link puts on the mask, it's like both Link, the memories of the people in Termina, and the Happy Mask Salesman. Their powers are like combined, so they're like conjoint. They mostly are conjoint. So it definitely has like a strong connection there. So part of me thinks, Bowie, and I hope this helps. I feel like that the reason right for all of that is that not only that it doesn't reflect Link, but they mostly are like combined power. So they're like conjoints. Hope this helps. What do you think, Sora?
I'm in agreement.
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely is more conjoints.
Yeah.
But to summarize, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say also, he's secretly a descendant of a demon, but you know.
This is true.
That's neither here nor there.
Yes. But actually looking at this game, there definitely is a lot of mysteries to raise about this guy. Who he really is and what kind of person the Happy Mask Salesman. He's definitely is more than meets. There's more than he seems to know a lot more than meets the eye, but in reality, he's just a crazy man with a big goofy smile, who pretty much knows pretty much about everything.
And with that creepy smile, he will stare into your soul and scream.
I'll rip your face off and make a mask out of it.
This is true. But anyway, I think we pretty much got everything here, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, I also feel like we got everything. So anyway, y'all, that is going to conclude our discussion about the Happy Mask Salesman from Ocarina of Time. Sora, I definitely want to thank you. Thank you for being here today. It's always awesome to see you.
It was a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, thank you for being here, Sora. Yes, everybody, if you guys are not following Sora, y'all definitely do need to go do yourselves a favor, and please go follow my friend Sora on Twitch. He is such an awesome person. So anyway, guys.
Thank you.
So if you guys are watching this on YouTube, please don't forget to do the following by liking, sharing, subscribing, all the good jazz. It is so good to see you guys. I definitely, Sora and I definitely loved answering your questions over in the Twitch chat. So, and now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to bring to you the next topic that I will be discussing for next month, in the month of November. So, yes.
Also, I love you too, Sky.
Yes. No. No.
I was just replying, Sky.
No, I know. Actually, to correction, Sora, we love you, Sky. We love you.
Yes, we do.
We love you, Sky. So, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to tune in to episode 10 on November 3rd. As the next topic that I will be talking about, this is actually going to be a delivery for all you Skyward Sword fans out there. Because, ladies and gentlemen, my next topic is going to be about Fi, the sword spirit within the Master Sword. And the main topic that we're going to talk about, what I'm titling it, is called She Never Left. So basically, there definitely is like a connection with every spirit of the hero for those who actually wield the Master Sword and where the Master Sword's power comes from. Because we all know that at the end of Skyward Sword, she never left. She always remains as a spirit of the sword within the Master Sword. So we're going to talk about each of the heroes who actually have obtained the Master Sword, and that the questioning behind their power is that Fi has never left. She's always been in the Master Sword. That's why the Master Sword is such a powerful weapon. That's why it's known as the Blade of Evil's Bane. Kind of question as to why is it powerful? It's because Fi never left. She's always been there. And to kind of back up this argument is that we can actually see like the Master Sword flashing both in Breath of the Wild and in Tears of the Kingdom. And to where even Zelda says herself that she can definitely, at first she could hear the voice of the sword, but now she can no longer hear the voice of the sword. Which obviously we all know that sound comes from Fi. So, we definitely will be talking about Fi for next time. So Sora, I definitely want to thank you again for being here. It has been a pleasure.
It was definitely a pleasure being here. Thank you, Kokiri.
Yes, thank you for being here. And guys, don't forget to follow me on YouTube by liking, sharing, subscribing, all that good jazz. So, thank you guys so much for Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great rest of your night. And Sora and I will see you next time. So tune in next month on November 3rd as we talk about Fi from Skyward Sword and why she never left in the Master Sword. Until then, take care, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Take care. Have a good one.